How is again? It's it's that Sunday afternoon chat. I decided that it's probably better doing this than doing interviews all the time, with, like on alternative media, because I can answer questions directly to people that don't have radio shows and things like that about the things I discussed. So you want to have a wee chinwag. I'll be here for the next hour or so, and we can try to put right the world through our occasional bullshit. Well, bull is West Indian bullshit, occasional bullshit, and here they come. Things. Okay, I now proceed to put on the spectacles of sometimes knowledge and occasional bollocks. Okay, here we go. The spectacles presented. We're 43 on, so 45 on today so far. And big ups from Argyll. That's in Scotland, isn't it? Yeah. The west of Scotland, I think. Michigan. Yay. Never been there. I don't know why I said yay. That Detroit Rock City from Kiss. Down and down and down and London calling. Good day, Thomas. Yup, across Jura. Oh, Jura's Denmark, right? Detroit too. Down and down and down and down and down and down and down. I'm not a big Kiss fan, but that's a good tune. That I do like that guitar intro. Wellington, New Zealand, the other side, the exact other side of the word. Corby, England. Corby named after the Vikings, the Danelaws. Corby, Maryland. I want to go to Maryland, where all the Marys are. Sounds lovely. Oh, Maryland. Oh, all the Marys are. Shona from Glasgow. A lot of Scottish people come onto these chats, I've noticed. I've got a lot of followers in Scotland. Hi Thomas, it goes so fast. Listowel, County Kerry. Sometimes it goes too fast, I miss the question. I don't know if I can scroll back on it, can I? Oh, I can, okay. Beautiful day here in Switzerland. Lovely. Your videos are truly inspiring. I'm glad to hear that. Questions. What do your neighbours think of you yapping away in the car all the time? They don't see me because my nearest neighbours are... I live at the end of a kind of an alleyway, a country lane. And so the neighbours are all up here. And they don't see this. The cars will go by as it's a kind of side road to cut onto the main road, so you'll hear that. And so they avoid the traffic sometimes, but they don't see me in the car. And even when I go, I'm an achiever, where I will not use profanity. They don't hear. They don't hear that. There's Natalie from the Netherlands. Scotland loves Thomas. I love Scotland too. Yeah, yeah. They don't hear me. They don't hear me. They. I've got very nice neighbours. They're very private and stuff like that. And Norway, I know Norway very well. I've been to Norway many times. Profanity. Hey, Linda. Hope you and Steve are good. The Philippines. Woo, that's really exotic. I'd love to go to that part of the world one day. I've been to Sri Lanka, but I've never been to the Philippines. Do memes, let me see. Michael Cox, do memes put you at risk of the evil eye? No, not at all. Not at all. Because once your name is not attached to it. You understand? If your name is on the meme, it might. So these comedy sites that put the name of the site or the Facebook group on the meme, you have to be a bit careful about that. That's a bit risky. And the chat has vanished. It's 95 here back now. 95. You love them glasses. They're just cheapo glasses. They've been taped on the side here. I just need them for reading this because the letters are tiny on the phone. What do you think of electronic music? That's from Trisk, I think is the name. Electronic music, yeah, I have no problem with electronic music. I like it a lot. I think, I've always loved the electronic music. No problem at all with that. It depends on once it has soul. Once it has soul, it's okay. And I have no issue. I've always liked going back years to Cabaret Voltaire and Tangerine Dream and They, bands that, I remember I got on a Skinny Puppy with the first like electronic industrial band I ever heard. Yeah, music does evolve like everything else. So I think it always has to have soul. It doesn't matter what the genre or type is. Is that Navan that someone said they were from? Navan man. Yeah, Florian Schneider. He was a true groundbreaker. They were the ones that actually took in Kraftwerk the synthesizer and turned it into a very soulful device. Surprisingly so. What do you think of Bill Schloden? Never heard of him. Sorry, Jackie, never heard of him. I don't follow alt media. I don't. I'm in a world of my own. I always do exercise my bike every day. You make it much more interesting and easier. Thank you. Thin Lizzy, yeah. You have to love Thin Lizzy, yeah. Barnsley, Yorkshire, and that's Kyle, yeah. Great graphics you did there for the AV11 thing. I always do. I like the way you used the Mandelbrot set in the new one. Polish living in Navan. Do you like living in Navan? I haven't been to Navan in years. It used to be a kind of a tough mining town when I was a kid. I actually saw Motorhead there, believe it or not. Inside there was a community centre that's shaped like a giant pyramid, and Motorhead played in that. That's like 1982 or something. That's the only time I think I was ever in Navan. Do you think you can put feelings into a text or email? Yeah, you can. Because all you have to do is look at text or emails, and and uh, that hurt you or make you sad or make you happy. Yeah, Ms. Marnie. Hey, Marnie. How can you guard from your sigil turning against you? Well, you can't because you own it. You see, understand? It's like you can't. They can't do nothing with it. If they try to use it against you, your sigil against you, it's only empowering and charging it. It cannot be used against you. It can't be used. Yeah, it cannot be used against you. That's the beauty of it. I never make these live ones. Hello from California. It's probably real early in the morning there, and it's probably like 6 o'clock in the morning or something. Thomas from Leicestershire. Do you know much about the Humberstone Leicester? No, no, I don't. I've been to Leicester. I did a talk there years back, but I don't know anything about Leicester except the neat Roman castle there. How about the codependency on medication? The idea we cannot do without them. It could feel like a burden to me. Yeah, but if they keep you alive, they work. You see, it can't be anti-science. This is the thing with the. You're welcome, Arnie. This is a thing you have to be remember. Just because we're, you know, who we are, and we'd like to live in a world where we have, you know, natural everything. Some people have diabetes, some people have asthma, some people have cancer, some people have all kinds of like heart conditions and neurological conditions, epilepsy. My mother's Parkinson is treated with medication that works incredible. My mother has the most severe Parkinson you've ever seen, and the medication it's remarkable. So we can't be luddites about these things, and some people do need these medications. They're out. It doesn't mean that just because some things are bullshit and big farmers on some levels are bullshit doesn't mean you throw the baby out with the bathwater. Yeah, we aspire to the ideal of having a perfect immune system and treating ourselves with food and all this kind of thing and decent living and sunshine, but ultimately we'll always have problems too, and to reject these in order to not have a good life is wrong too. This is the concept of the middle path. You've got to always take the middle path. And so if you're dependent on a medication that gives you back your quality of life, extend your life with a quality of life, of course, can actually help you but obviously if you're taking lots of medications, there's something seriously wrong there. You've obviously been listening to your doctor maybe too much. But there's always Like, for instance, we're living in an age where if something goes slightly wrong or a small pain, we're 169 people now, and a small pain or something, we take a medication, but then it becomes almost like a chain reaction, and there's medications for this, that, and you go to the doctor, they give you everything. And, like, for instance, like with my asthma, 9 times out of 10, it was just a wheeze from a damp weather or humidity. I have a salt pipe that has like salt in it. It's a ceramic one. And a chap wanted to buy me one yesterday on Amazon. I already had one, but thank you very much. Very kind of you. And that worked for a lot of it. But sometimes when it's really bad, I'm not stupid, and you shouldn't be stupid about it either. But at the same time too, I don't live on this thing. I don't live on it. This is the first time it's come out in ages, months really, because of the feckin' hay fever. And and there's a medication called Piriton, which you can buy over the counter, and it's like tiny little tablets that size. Two of them at bedtime, I'll get the best night's sleep ever. And I'll have no problems with wheezing or anything, or itching in my eyes or anything. And yeah, so if it works, use it. Just the thing is that don't it's like everything else in life. Don't become the codependent. Okay, what else is on here? Hey Davey, good to see you, mate. Uh, uh, fucking sound man, fucking yeah, fucking champion. Davy's up in Newcastle, a lovely fella. Pleiades, the Scorpions in my dream. What are Pleiades? Like they're spacemen? I don't know about that. All right, from rugby, you were here last week, weren't you? 1:43 a.m. in New Zealand. Wow, that's Milton. That's dedication. Shrewsbury, lots of England in today. Stevenage, yeah, loads. I know a friend of mine who went to play for Stevenage Town football team. Liverpool, sound. Your videos have helped me. Big love from Merseyside. Thank you, Lex. I've got a lot of love for Merseyside. Any love that comes back from there is great for me. Thomas, thank you for explaining it. Gareth, Wolverhampton, the Black Country. Another Wolverhampton. Do I keep in touch on what? No, like I said, I don't do anything other than say Ian Crane and a few other people, like Greg Moffat and a few others. I don't do anything with the alternative scene. I'm not a member of. I don't. I don't. That's part of my life, but not the center of my life. And so, like, when people ask me about characters on, in alt media radio shows, I honestly have never heard because I don't listen to them. I'm off doing my own thing, and also, it's like, I don't study the competition like so many of these types do because I don't have competition with them. I'm not interested in that. I'm not here to be number one in alt media or anything like that. I'm here because I find life genuinely interesting and I like sharing it with interesting people. That's basically it. How magical is the area around Cash's Ben, around Cashel and South Tipperary? Well, I wrote about that in the Druid Code. Cashel and South Tipperary is, it's very impressive to see the gigantic monastery on top of the round tower, which is older than the monastery. You can be looking at the stonework on top of the round tower, and there's something happened there. There's some rumors of druids being sacrificed there in the past, and of course, one of the most sinister characters in Irish history, Brian Boru, who crowned himself the Ard Righ, the High King, without the recognition of the other kings of Tara. So illegally, he was High King, and then went to war against the last pagan outpost in Ireland, the the Norse pagans in Dublin, in Viking Dublin, and ended paganism in Ireland in 10 whatever it was, 16 or whatever, 1060, and for a while. And so, like, so like, there's a darkness up there. It's very impressive when you're coming on the old road between Dublin and Cork. When you come around that corner and see the edifice, and it looked like not Rivendell. What was the minus third? From Lord of the Rings, and it would just appear on top of the rock, and all very important. When you go up there, I always got it was a dark energy. I always felt the dark energy in Cashel. The village is pretty though. I like the village. It's a pretty old fat, but the landscape around it is beautiful. A lot of Tipperary is so beautiful and pastoral and sort of like classic Ireland, you know, castles and, you know, rolling pastoral countryside and mountains and all that stuff. But the villages and the towns, like Tipperary town, they have a nasty energy about them. I don't know why that is. It's almost like a curse upon them, communities. I agree about the meds, yeah. Spiritual and scientific. In fact, magic and science are the same thing, so there you go. Mumbles from the. I don't know what the mumbles is. I enjoyed the COVID and your AV. Thank you. I was very nervous before I was doing the. I was very nervous before the event, but I'm glad. I think about talking. Why do you like Donald Trump? I don't know Donald Trump. I don't love him. I don't care for his politics so much, because I'm apolitical. Why do I like him? Because he's fucking funny. He makes me. He's just so interesting, and his effect on other people fascinates me. And I've never seen anyone. People who hate him, if you ask them why they hate him, they can't give you specifics. Oh, he's racist, so that's why he employs thousands of black and coloured folks and people of colour in his companies. Oh, he's homophobic, is that why he employs thousands of people who are gay in his companies? Oh, he hates women, is that why he has thousands of women working for him? You see, they can't come up with anything. It's the, I mean, yeah, it's the best thing that ever happened in terms of politics in my life because he's not a politician. I say if the real reason I'm drawn to Trump is the fact that he's an incredibly clever man, and more than anything else, he's not a politician, and that's it. That's it. That's the main thing. I hate the masks. Sean O'Rourke. The Satchler family in the USA peddle oxytocin as a mass-scale drug towards rural white working class, kill tens of thousands in wild communities forever. Why would they do something like that? I never heard about that. That's creepy. They always experiment on the poor and the coloured people. You like in Planned Parenthood, they always targeted the poor whites in the south and the black folks down there. It's really they say it's when you look at things like Planned Parenthood and the likes of what produced Gates, it's really the class system. It's a hatred of the poor. They don't care about black or white poor. They hate them all. Yeah, no, the ventilators have actually been killing people. Even a scientist in the Science magazine, Dunfermline and Fife. That's where isn't what's his name from Big Country from there, Stuart Adamson. Necessity over an indulgence. Yeah, it's true. The lungs can't handle it because it's too powerful. Hello. What's yes the difference between need and want? Yeah, you have to live with both. Half a glass of poor bourbon puts me straight to sleep if I'm having a bout of insomnia. But I might have a glass or two. Yeah, I can't drink spirits. The only thing I can drink is beer. I can't even drink red wine anymore. I used to love red wine. All I can drink now is lager. I've never been able to drink spirits, so I can't drink whiskey or gin or vodka. It makes me violently ill, and it doesn't work. It's I just whatever. My system is just not suited to spirits. It barely can handle beer. I just love the taste of beer more than anything else. Crazy dreams, yeah, it's been the same for everyone. I haven't had many dreams though last week. Good to see the worldwide fan base on here. Market Haleborough. I know where I think that's in like the English Midlands, isn't it? I found homeopathy helpful for hay fever. Yeah, it is. In the Isle of Wight. People said the thing with the bees and the honey. It never worked for me. And there's loads of around here. There's loads of beekeepers that make lovely honey up and just not up too far, but a mile up the road on the side of the mountain. They make beautiful heather honey that tastes of heather. And how is Ian Crane? Ian is going to do an actual closing address on the AV11 thing tonight. Yeah, he's at home recovering, and it's remarkable to think that considering he only had these three horrific operations only a couple of weeks ago. So Ian is with us and ready for the fight, and his own self back on Facebook. Love from Sri Lanka. Hey, he never. I always love Sri Lanka. The Black Country, yeah, and Wolverhampton. A lot of good bands though come from that part of England. That's the thing. Elliot Flynn, you're Mike Hart, are you, Mike? Could you make a big video on the rules? I've covered that in loads of little videos. So if you go into either this or open source cult channel and type into the search box rules of engagement, you should find something. Orlando, Florida. I've never been. I've been to northern Florida, but I've never been to the southern part. How are you, Thomas from Folks? Vernon, British Columbia. That's a long way away. 240 be here now. The Black Country, Birmingham. Now Birmingham, I know is not included in the Black Country. That's the West Midlands. Rochford and Essex. Love the specs of a pair of similar ones. I got these from Lidl. How long have you been to paganism? Always. Well, even when I tried atheism, I still had like a kind of a paganism feeling for them. That lasted only a few weeks. I couldn't do it. But paganism, yeah, I think I first discovered paganism when I read about it in a book when I was about 13 or 14, and I didn't know that there was other religions other than Christianity, and there's still people that don't. Like, they still think there's only ever been Christianity or Judaism as religion in the world. And I met some old time hippie Wiccans who made me see that things like Christians only fear God and fear death and this kind of thing. And yeah, it was just like, I kind of always was. I think I was born a pagan. I found you in 2012. It seems like it's a very long time ago now. Yep. And I was like, but the funny thing, I was talking to Brian Gerrish today on video, and he hasn't changed at all. He looks exactly the same. Thomas, what are the importance of dark nihilistic elements in art? Is it a force to look at the shadow? Absolutely, Patrick. Very important. That's a great question. Like H.R. Geiger. People look at that art and think it's horrible and it's nasty and scary. I find it quite comforting in many ways because it balances out the light and shadow. It's important. I mean, if you look at, if you go through life in unicorn fairy tale land, you'll become insane. You'll go insane. At the same time, too, if you go through life totally nihilistic and dark, you'll commit suicide. That's why a lot of That's why there's high suicide rates among atheists. Is because ultimately they're nihilistic in how they think. And I know loads of nice people are atheists and stuff like that. I'm not putting them down, but I'm just saying that's what they're like. And they're terrified of the reality of themselves. Like, I made a video a while back saying about atheists, saying if they really believe what they believe, then they don't have any love for their children and partners, because they just see them as bags of DNA for the replication. So if they lose a child, it's just losing DNA. And they went mental. And it's just like, because I held the mirror, the shadow to them. And they weren't ready to confront the shadow of their atheism. Just like in magic, some people don't want to. I'm a witch, I'm a Wiccan, but they don't want to confront the darkness of that. There's a dark side of it as well. And so darkness in art, and when I say art, I mean art, movies, paintings, music, the whole works. I mean, I'm just happy listening to bands like Skinny Puppy or Laibach as I am to ABBA and Bill Withers. And life is light and shadow. Relationships are light and shadow. Yourself is light and shadow, and you can't look at one without the other. It's as simple as that. So darkness in art is vital. Also, the dark art tends to be the most interesting. You can look at, I find when you go to art galleries, the light stuff, like you see Monet's paintings of haystacks in art galleries, they're amazing. You see any kind of the impressionist paintings, they only really come to life in an art gallery. When you see pictures of them on the internet or pictures of them in art books, and I've got quite a big collection of art books, it's not the same. I mean, I remember seeing one of Monet's paintings of his haystacks, and the books there, that's nice, an interesting brush technique. And then I finally saw one in the flesh, and they're quite big, in the museum in Boston, and it was one of the most astounding paintings I've ever seen. He painted it in such a way that the relief was the reverse of reality. So the haystack was in the background, and the brushstrokes of, even though his perspective was correct and everything, the brushstrokes of the background, like the field and the sky in the background, were the impasto was so strong on them that it almost looked like the haystack had been knocked out But you don't see that. And you look at it, it's like, Jesus Christ, that's incredible. You can't, you're the visual and the textural quality is astounding. I mean, you don't see that in photographs. Where in dark art like H.R. Geiger's paintings, and that kind of thing, or dark Gothic art and photographs, they do transfer very well into the print format. Hello from York, Legalised Freedom. Yeah, great program. Swiss Cottage and Care, another down Tipperary again. How can we expect to see Ian Crane up and about? He's on his way. He'll be on his way. He's back. Hello from New York. New York. Hi, folks. Examples. There was a good video there. There's the pointers trying their old-timey Americana culture, particularly that of the Appalachian, contains the residue of something quite remarkable. Absolutely it does. If you go to my Facebook page, Throne of the Lightkeeper, I've been posting quite a lot of Appalachian stuff on that over the years. I'm fascinated by the Appalachian culture. And I know it's the whole Scotch-Irish thing. Latvia, yay! The whole Scotch Atfried, have you studied at all the Abrahamic religions? Well, I was raised Catholic. I did my catechism. I did. What did I do? I did the First Holy Communion, the confirmation. I was done all that stuff. I've been in a very close relationship with Jewish people, so I know about the Jewish religion, and I'm engaged with Muslims. Yeah, I've never read the Bible. Who reads the Bible? There's no point. Don't read. I have read the Quran, and yeah, it's got its good and bad, and but the problem is evangelical. Judaism. I quite like Judaism because if I was going to be an Abrahamic, I'd be Jewish. I'll tell you why. It's not evangelical, and it's the truest form. It has a mystical foundation in Kabbalah. But I think if I was going to be a Christian, I'd absolutely be a faux Catholic, because it's practically paganism. And so, have I studied it? No, I know all about it. Not all about it, but I never want. I studied enough about it to know I don't want a part of my life. You don't have to study it completely to understand it. Trump is hilarious. He is. He's absolutely hilarious. Occult Dublin too. I enjoyed doing that. Dublin has lost so much of its magic though in recent years. Hopefully with this lockdown, the economy will collapse and it'll get its magic back. Trump is he is. He's a wizard. He makes me laugh. Yeah, that's the point. He's very funny, and he knows he's torturing people. And he's been good for America. He's given Americans back what we always loved about Americans. Those people who are in fear of him are not real Americans. They're afraid, and they're frightened. They would never have lasted on the frontier. Trump could not have appeared in the West, but we didn't need. Global elites had no problem putting together their programs. Yeah. Trump is the shadow of globalism. That's probably the main reason I like him. I like Trump because he's entertaining, and Trump is the ultimate trickster come to flesh true. The Tuskegee experiments, yeah, where they infected black guys with syphilis. Disgusting, yeah. The late Stuart Addison, yeah. He's making Israel great again. I don't. This is a weird thing. Like, what's he supposed to do? Bomb Israel? I don't get involved in the Middle Eastern stuff, and I don't care about it either way. But I've met Palestinians that are nice people, and I've met Israelis that were nice people, and a lot of these people are victims of their political system, and you cannot go around blaming them. Like, for instance, when I have a problem with, say, the Saudis, I don't go after the Saudi people. I'm talking about the House of Saud, the actual leadership. I do smoke weed. I've no problem with anyone smoking weed casually now and again. It's when you become dependent on it. Potchins, for what now? Potching makes me violently ill. Actually, a lot of people, I heard in South Africa, because of the lockdown, they can't even open off licenses or liquor stores. And so people have been making their own booze at home and been killing themselves from it. It's actually very easy to make alcohol. You can do it with bread and sugar. Look, a loaf of bread and a bag of sugar, you can actually make very powerful and dangerous alcohol. Trump will be re-elected. No, he has not. There's no chance. There was a eugenics program in the USA. Yeah. Hi from France. Sin Hali is living in Singapore. Hey. Streams from Ballymoon. Yay! The moon. Oh, look, Donnie reading you over the moon. Yay. Raw honey. St. Petersburg, Florida. No more Florida. Any favourite trad bands? We spoke about this last week. The Bothy Band. All the albums from the 70s are all great because it's when Irish trad bands got into good producers and good recording studios and produced the albums in a similar style to what rock music was doing by changing things. So the Bothy Band, Planksty, all those albums, the Planksty Black album from the 70s, the Bothy Bands, the Wind, the Shakes, the Barley, Sweeney's Men, all the 70s trad stuff is great. Well, it's not all of it. That stuff. Stockton's Wing, all those bands. I saw the TV show Britannia was stupid. I like Roman and Celtic stuff, but there was when they showed them at Stonehenge, there was no druids at Stonehenge. I think paganism is in our blood here in Ireland. Yeah, Led Zeppelin, not a big fan. Don't think they're rubbish or anything. I just never got into them. Deliverance, County Carlow. Yeah, I don't know really anything about Carlow except Browns. Enjoyed your baby the lecture. Thank you very much. Good. Thank you very much. What do you know about the Brehon from Mark in not so sunny Wigan? You mean when you say Brehon, you mean like the Brehon codes and the Brehon laws, and that you had in Ireland before the old Celtic kingdoms? Yeah, that's all I know about them. Is that there was a sister before Ireland fell under English rule finally in 1610, I think it was. They had a thing called Ireland functioned under something called the Brehon laws or the Brehon code, and the Brehon laws were the Celtic Gaelic, well, really the Gaelic law system of Ireland before the English common law took over after 1610. And it was quite advanced for its time. Women had rights to divorce men and take half their property. And yeah, it was quite advanced in some ways, and in other ways it wasn't. There was a big class system in it. You had like the three levels. Like at the bottom of society, you had things called mugs and cumhalls, and the term a mug to this day was like a caste system. A mug is the term when you call someone a mug, like a fool. That's what comes from the Brehon laws. You're a mug. You're the lowest of the low. It was almost like the untouchables in the caste system. And you had the cumhall, which was a woman at the bottom of the caste system. And even in parts when I was a kid, but not so much now, cumhall was a slang name for a prostitute. So yeah, like anything else, had a good and bad. H.R. Geiger did a poster for the dead Kennedys, Frankenchrist, yeah, and yeah, he did loads of good stuff like that. What do you think of Christian Gnosticism? Well, Christian Gnosticism is not really the same thing. Gnosticism can't really be confused to Christianity. Gnosticism is no, I don't like it. I don't like the fatalism of it. The concept that the earth is a prison and we're all suffering here, and this kind of thing, and we're under the control of the archons. It's a slave mentality. It's not. Gnosticism does nothing for me. It's a death cult in many ways. Well, I've played the song Unicorn by the Irish Rovers. There was green alligators and long-necked geese, some humpty-back camels and some chimpanzees, some rats, some cats and elephants, as sure as your barn, but the oldest of them all was the unicorn. You sing that in school. Dark aspect, yeah, gallows humour. You have to deal with it. Throbbing Gristle, fabulous, yeah. Genesis P. Origin. I think most people class themselves as atheists as they simply don't. Yeah, they think that's a problem out there. A lot of people say to themselves, "I'm an atheist." Why? Well, I don't like Christianity or Judaism or Muslim Islam. And you go, there's other stuff, and they go, there is. That's a big problem. That's how much they've exterminated. You could say you could always be a Hindu, you could always be a pagan, you could always be whatever, or you could be a folk Catholic, or you could be a Kabbalistic Jewish person. A lot of the British military presence in South Tipperary in places like Tiptown and Clonmel had infantrymen stationed there, but Kerr had cavalry. Maybe that's something to do with the energy. I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. It's just a towns in Tipperary. The countryside's not so bad. There's a darkness in them. Sean is all very happy. So cute. Monet versus Goya. Yeah, some of Goya stuff is very dark. Some atheists may have been spiritual insurgents going against a bad Christian religious authoritarianism environment. Some of them have been somewhat open to higher power, as long as it's in Christian. Yeah, this I think a lot of atheists are basically, I wouldn't say recruits because that sounds evangelical, but a lot of atheists are pagans waiting to discover paganism. That's all they are. Hello from Kent. Kent, the Garden of England. One of my favorite artists, Samuel Palmer, painted rural Kent during the Romantic period. Have a great Sunday, you too. Geiger was a big inspiration for me when I was younger. Amazing, yeah, amazing artist. He is, Kyle. I agree with that. There was a lot of there during the War of Independence that were not discussed. Yeah, well, it's amazing the Irish War, Civil War. There's loads of songs about fighting the English, but there's not many songs about the Irish killing each other in the Civil War that happened afterwards. We like to romanticize, we don't like to romanticize too much. What's your opinion on Zionism? My opinion on Zionism was that at one time Zionism was necessary. There's no doubt about it. You look how Jews were treated, it was appalling. You look at, say, the Pale of Settlement in Russia and Belarusia, where basically Jews were just locked into a gigantic ghetto. They had no rights in many countries. And a lot of it had to do with Christianity, particularly Lutheranism. And Zionism served the function. It gave the Jewish people an identity to develop a homeland. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. There were people in search of a land, and a country, because they were basically just like the Armenians, just like the Irish in Ireland, just like the Native Americans. Yeah, this is how you think about the Jews in the past. They were a people that were just moved on, just like the Kurds. They were not given, they were not treated well, and a lot of it had to do with religion and things like that. And Zionism initially was an idea to give the Jewish people a homeland where they could be safe at last. And lots of people who were not Jewish supported it. And it was a good idea. Now, originally they didn't know where to put them. There was three places. There was Palestine, there was Madagascar, and that one Palestine was never a country. I know that. No, I'm not saying I'm not saying anything right again. I'm just saying there was never a nation called Palestine. It was a part of the Ottoman Empire. It was a kind of a region, and then there was the thing called the Palestine Mandate, which was after World War One. The British Empire had an area which they called the Palestine Mandate, but it was never there was never a country with its flag and anything like that called Palestine. Never was, okay? And the majority of people who call themselves Palestine are Muslims from Jordan and Syria today that got trapped in Gaza and places like that after the 67 war. Now, I'm not going to get too heavy into that. I'm not taking sides. I'm just saying how it is. The original idea of Zionism was worthy and noble. It was like giving people a homeland. Now, there was Patagonia, Madagascar, and Palestine were the three original places that they wanted to do. Now, people have to remember, there was already Jews living in the Middle East, in Israel, lots of them. And not just one or two, there was lots. And then there were European Jews, particularly in Germany, who started buying up parts of land in Palestine. With the eventual thing of making it kind of a Jewish homeland, not necessarily a nation. And things went wrong, like these things always do. And just like for instance, like I live in a country where there's 1 million people of Scottish and English heritage up the road, Protestants, Ulster people. Their ancestors landed here because of the plantation of Ulster and the plantation of Ireland. Am I supposed to hate them because of history? Now that has led to bad things, but it's led to good things as well. These are, I mean, these are just the Ulster Scots, and just like the Jews in Israel are strong people, and you don't fuck with them because they're a legacy of centuries of hardship to entrench themselves in, and the worst thing you can do is to try and pick on them. These are, you do the best thing you can do is try to be friendly with them. Now Zionism, yes, there are elements of it that are kind of the exclusive and chauvinistic and uh, bigoted and stuff like that, but that's common in many societies and many cultures. Now, Zionism is something my attitude towards Zionism is it's something that was necessary. It served its purpose, but now it's not necessary. There's just Israel proved itself as a nation after the '67 war. If it didn't, it proved its right to exist right there and then. And yes, there's been bad things done, but there's been bad things done by lots of nations. And I find it amazing that Americans in particular can sit there criticizing Zionism when they're not able to face manifest destiny on their own land. Look, we're all living in the. I'm a Catholic Hindu. That's an interesting one. Well, I know you see when you go Hindu places, you see pictures of Jesus and the Virgin Mary everywhere. We're all victims of history to some degree, and we're all living with the aftermath. It's like James Joyce said, history is a nightmare from which I'm trying to wake up. Nothing is black and white. When are you going to organise a tour of Loch Ness? It keeps falling apart. I just think I might do it casually and invite some people along anyway, rather than an organised tour. I can't get anywhere. I can't go more than 5 kilometres now. 2 miles, wherever that is. Do I know what happened to Shamanic Freedom Radio? Yeah, Niall is back around. He has a new. Niall Murphy has a new radio show. If you look out there, you'll find him. Niall has a new. He got a new thing. An opaque lens thing. Yeah, I forget what his channel is called, but yeah, Niall is back on the scene. He did some very good exposés of what Brian Rouse's agenda is on London Real. I did communion confession. Didn't get confirmed. It felt weird. My parents liked me. My uncle was a Catholic priest, so it was a big deal. Yeah, I had no. Luckily, my family were not heavy churchgoers or Catholics. Even though I did my whole first Holy Communion and all that, it was not. They were not. It was just to go along with the flow. Loved the mean Mamsie in the first video. Thanks, Max. I'm glad to see the chats are open. Thank you for the many hours of content. I'm digging these fascinating answers to these fascinating questions. Well done. Thank you. I can't Shade or something. It's really tiny. I have read the Bible. I have never heard of a book promoted more evil. Even if you ask you horrible things of people, horrible demands. It's horrific. Yep. From the wilds of Aloquin. That's in America somewhere, isn't it? Nebraska. Classy Bond sometime a bit more. Yeah, well, Classy Bond, the last time I was there, the security guards chased me away. For those of you, Classy Bond is a castle in outside a village, a very beautiful part of County Sligo. It's a castle that was owned by Louis Mountbatten, the Queen's uncle or cousin or whatever he was, and cousin or whatever, and brother, I don't know what, but he was a notorious paedophile. The IRA blew him up, probably with the help of the British Army and the Irish Defence Forces in 1980, in order to because he was a dirty name for everybody. He was hated in even Canada because of his the raid on Dieppe, which we sacrificed large numbers of Canadian troops. But yeah, the place is just I've never looked. It's a beautiful looking location and everything, but I have to be. I heard a story that one time, I don't know if it's true, that someone ripped up the carpet and found out a gigantic pentagram on the floor. But I don't know how true that is. Halifax, Nova Scotia. Listening while mending my bike in Dublin. Have you noticed that, Tom, that everyone's cycling now everywhere? It's good to see that. It's nice. Had some rough times in Podgy, and I'm sure you do. Strawberry wine sounds lovely. Hello from Howard, West Yorkshire. I've been there. You can make wine from raisins. Yeah, well, we're at Raisin Scrapes. Hi from Bristol. Very nice, very interesting place. Hi, Jade and Mead. Fermenting, North Portugal, wonderful country. Did you ever see the American Stonehenge near Salem? There's a few. There's a few of them in America, but which one in particular is that? I mean, there's a few of them called the American Stonehenge. There's loads of megaliths in New England and all over northeast of North America. And that's a whole world that needs to be explored and examined. I miss America actually. I can't wait to go. I mean, I don't mean like miss living there. I can't wait to get back to the United States. Millionaire communist Christy Moore. There's loads of millionaire communists. Look at what's his name. Fucking. Do you have any good film suggestions? I'm running out of ideas. I've been just watching the old stuff again. Escape from New York. I watched the in the night. It's still as fantastic as ever. Um, yeah, I'll have to come up with a thing of films. Funny enough, I also live about 40 minutes from Stonehenge, and I've been there twice in the last 20 years. It's full of hippies, crusties, and the ruins. Have you got on your bike since your lockout? No, I haven't. My bike is punctured and I can't get the parts for it. Spain, Blue Oyster Cult. Yeah, one of my favourite bands. Good taste there. South Australia, Perth. My sister lives there. What do you think happened with the football? The football stuff's interesting. I think they're going to scrap the season. I think they're going to scrap the seasons. They've been talking about the league here in Ireland played with streaming. And England, they thought said the same. There's also talks about all the games being played in a single venue that we're talking about here, and all the games. The remainder of the games all played in Shamrock Rovers Stadium in Dublin, or the Aviva Stadium in Dublin. But it's not going. I don't think it's going to happen. I think what happened, the Scottish, not the Premier League, but the lower leagues in Scotland, they all decided to end the season there. Now that would be bad in England for Liverpool fans because they would have their first chance in years to finally win the Premier League, and it might be taken from them. I don't know. It's an awful mess. It's an awful mess. Pulp, I don't really like them. I don't like. I never really got into them. I never saw the appeal of them. Gnosticism, not Christianity. Yeah, Gnosticism, but I don't like Gnosticism. I've been to Pendle Hill. Oh my God, there's some serious energy in Pendle Hill. And I had a great story in Pendle Hill. When I was a younger man, I was hiking through that part of England, and I ended up staying in a guest house. And there was a woman there. I was in my 20s, and she was probably 40, and her husband was away or something like that. I don't know, but it turned into a carry-on movie. I woke up in the middle of the night, and she was in the bed next to me. Nothing happened, by the way. It was like one of those. It was. I just said, "Look, oh, I'm not getting involved with the. You know, you've picked on the wrong guy." Yeah, but it was fucking funny. It was. She practically was devouring me. It was like a carry-on movie. That's what it was like. What's significant? The number 313. Well, in terms of the channel beyond room 313, it was the hotel room that I was in that I had in Hanover in Germany that I had a remarkable mystical experience, and so I always remember the name of the hotel room. I was born a Taurus. I was into the bull veneration with Hathor and one of the goddesses, but outside of the dairy I don't do take beef, fair enough. But generally happier since I've been pagan. Yeah, well, bull veneration is central to so much paganism. Frigga, love the archonic humour. Common people. I just have a pulp. The murder of Hypatia. Yeah, well, and that say it all, doesn't it? That's what I find amazing about the atheists. They're aware of the murder of Hypatia, but instead of moving towards paganism like Hypatia was, they become atheists, and religion killed Hypatia, but they forget that Hypatia was religious. She was a pagan. Well, spiritual. She was a pagan. Ever walked up the Shankill Road? No, but I was in the, what's the other one in East Belfast? There's the other area, it's not, we're quite close to the city centre. And the Loyalist area, I can't remember. But yeah, I was there, never had any problems. And I was walking through there once, and there was a guy asked me for something, the direction, that I said, I'm not from here, I'm from Dublin. And he says, how are you, how's it going? And he was like, it was in like the Sandy Road, that's where it was. So no, I never had any problems. Never been, Shankill Road, I've been on it, but I've never walked up it. I turned pagan when I was 12. There is a something in ancient, I can't read it, Irish paganism. Yeah, well, atheists believe you don't believe in God. I don't believe in God either. Good morning from the Gulf of Mexico. Ooh, North Carolina, lovely. Great meme magic lesson. Yep, I'm glad you. That's very important. Don't be driven. Don't be brought into arguments and fights. Maintain your energy. These comments are great. Thoughts on on Conor McGregor being is he? He's more like a kind of a druidy kind of character. Look, he's a. I don't know. I mean, you have to admire what Conor McGregor has done, and he's also got that Trump thing going on. He's fucking hilarious, but spiritually, I don't know. I can't really comment on it. He definitely knows how to. He definitely has a. He definitely has some kind of spiritual identity to him. It's not about that. What book would you recommend to study magic? My one, Sorcery, of course. Chaos magic has been exhilarating, yeah. Chaos magic is the magic of the day and has been since the 70s. It's really come into its own on the internet. You cheer up my day, Thomas. Thank you. I'm glad you cheer up mine. No cigarettes are no cigarettes for sale in South Africa. That's fucked up. That is, because nicotine. I don't smoke, but nicotine is a very, very powerful drug to be addicted to. Stopping people from buying cigarettes because of the lockdown. Ooh, that's someone. 311 listeners. Let's see if we get the 313. Read the Talmud, you fool. Well, a fool yourself. Let's talk about the Talmud. You probably worship the Talmud, I bet. If you're a Protestant and you follow the King James Bible, what you're following is the Talmud. That was why the King James Bible was made, my friend. The King James Bible was created because the Catholic Church was too pagan. And so the Lutherans created and the Protestants during the Reformation created the King James Bible, the Talmud of the North. It's extremely Jewish, that book. So don't be giving me this thing, read the Talmud, you fool. If you follow the King James Bible, you're a Talmudist. All history is written by the victors, yeah. In fact, the Talmud of the North, the King James Bible, is what led to things like Manifest Destiny and stuff like that. Thank you for the positive energy. I'm in a good mood today, so I don't need it. Opaque Lens, Niall Murphy. Yeah, he's knocking around. He's back on a new channel. It's really good. He does night outside broadcast. Niall is a good friend of mine. Although he can't do a Dublin accent. He thinks he can, but he can't. The worst comedy script I've ever written, the Bible. It's funny. Don't really like Joe Rogan's program, to be honest with you. I also wouldn't do it because, well, there's loads of reasons it wouldn't happen. One, I'm just not well known enough. And two, he had 317, we passed the 313 on the moment. I don't like that show. It's too mainstream. Did evidence arise as to what happened to the Earls after their flight? Very good question. When the flight of the Earls happened in 1614 or whatever it was, and the last of the Gaelic lords left Ireland, Remember, they were still using the File, and they were Druids. They were the Druids in everything except religion, but they were still the Druids. So the last Druids left with them. Now, I wrote about this in my book, The Druid Code. The We know that the Flight of the Earls ended up in Spain and France mainly, and Italy, and they brought their wealth with them, and it's like the whole thing was they were supposed to come back to Ireland, but they didn't. They fucked off and left us. But they did things like they formed colleges and universities in Spain and in France and in Italy, and they when they left Ireland, they were a group of them was heading towards the Vatican just to meet with the Pope, and they were carrying with them a treasure, an unknown treasure, and the treasure was lost or fell into the devil's gorge at Gotthard in Switzerland on its way to the Pope. Whatever the treasure was they had, the Pope wanted it really badly. And there's always been rumours it was one of the treasures of the Tuatha De Danann. And it was lost at the Devil's Gorge or the Devil's Bridge in Gotthard in Switzerland and was thrown into the valley or lost into the valley. And the Pope never got it. Now, what's interesting about that is that was the exact spot where the Gotthard base tunnel ritual took place. Did you ever see that? When they opened the Gotthard base tunnel, then when they did the new train line through the Alps, they had this big kind of performance art thing where they had people dressed up, and it was actually quite amazing to watch. But that one weird thing about that was that took place exactly at the spot where the so-called treasure that the last of the Irish Druids with the Flight of the Earls had put in there, or lost there, or whatever, they hid it there, whatever. So there's all kind of interesting stuff. Yeah, the Flight of the Earls probably, they took the last of the Druids with them to Europe, and the next thing you know, you have Freemasonry. So it's very likely that Freemasonry and Thomas Paine, the founder of the man who invented the term United States of America, in his own book on Freemasonry said that the Freemasons come from the Irish and Italian Druids. So that's the orphanage of Kincardine, an awful story. Hi from Kingswear. Is that a men's? I know I'm joking. I know it's not a men's clothes shop. The US doesn't deserve me. I'm in Ireland, and the US is a wonderful country. The US is full of wonderful people. Kingswear, Devon. A tour of the Warren Museum and yeah, the cursed objects. Yeah, that looks fascinating. That place. Whereabouts in the US is that, Catherine? I'm not sure. Yeah, John Carpenter's films and music are brilliant. Definitely come to Florida and visit the swamps. Yeah, I would like that. Stratocaster or Telecaster? I have a Telecaster, and it's like wearing a coffee table around your neck. It's too difficult. And I had a Stratocaster, and I'd say of the two of them, and of all guitars, I'd say a Strat because it's comfortable to play. The Devil's yet an amazing film. I'm sorry if I'm missing your. Somebody mentioned One by. There's so many questions coming. Somebody mentioned One by One by Rick Mail film apparently about waking up. Well, I know some of the people involved in making that, and I know even know how much. I even know how much Rick Mail was paid to be in that, and yeah, it's an amazing film. But unfortunately, dumb truthers all picked on the people who made it, who were actually trying to help us. Whitley Bay. What do you know about the rainbow? What do you mean the rainbow? Lapsed Manchester City fan. Liverpool champions of VAR. Funny. Panda's Fen, yeah, very good film. That very very interesting film about the last a kid in England who's like a conservative Protestant middle class, upper middle class, and his father is a vicar, and he has a kind of a pagan awakening in this part of England, in like the West Midlands, is on the Welsh borders. King Penda was the last pagan king. The film was brilliant, actually. Was the last pagan king of England. Do I like bluegrass music? Yeah, it's good. No problem with that matter. You wouldn't say I was a huge fan, but I do like it. Would I rather start at Rogan or Styx Hexenhammer? Well, I like Styx a lot. I like his channel a lot. But he's the kind of guy you wouldn't get a word in edgeways, and I think that he likes to hear himself talking, which is okay because he has a lot of good stuff to say. But they're not the kind of people. I mean, Joe Rogan would probably be a better one for an interview, but I think I'd enjoy talking to Sticks but more. How are the cats doing? Yeah, great, no problem. Falls Road. I've been to the Falls Road. Yeah. I don't really. I find Belfast boring. I don't mean to put down people from Belfast. To me, it is what it is. A kind of a provincial British backwater. That's what I feel about it every time I go there. It doesn't feel Irish or anything. There's not a lot to do there or something. Culturally, there's not much going on. A lot of nice people that live in there. Lovely architecture in Belfast. Beautiful architecture in the city centre. Victorian Gothic architecture. Liverpool, sound. Forgiveness is a blessing. I don't know about that. Apathy is a better one. The late Leonard Cohen and his shadow work. Leonard Cohen, I don't know a lot about him. Yeah, he was obviously a talented man, and his music reached a lot of people. A lot of people genuinely love his music, but I never really got into him. An interesting character, though. Sheffield, yeah. My grandma's from County Mayo. Any occult history from Mayo? Let me think. Mayo is a fascinating. It's a big county. It's the next, just up the road here. It begins, and it's a big county, and it's full of like interesting ancient sites and megaliths and stuff. Occult wise, I'm sure there's tons of it. It was see a Mayo was got a darkness about a lot of the landscape. It was horribly damaged by the famine, and there's a lot of druidic stuff and cult wise in Mayo, particularly around the Ballon north of Killala, the round tower. That if you go up that coast there, there's a big kind of occultic element of druidic energy left in the landscape, and it's full of megaliths. Have I channeled and what have the Nicotine Star Child? I haven't channeled the Nicotine Star Child in a long time. Gnosis is simply the recognition of systems and not a subscription to any particular religion. Pagan ideals, yeah, gnosis just means knowledge, just like from the ancient Greek thing. I found you on the League Project. Force League Project, yeah, I've seen a lot of League Project people here. A Rogan Epstein connection? I don't know. I mean, my attitude is like you see a picture of somebody with Epstein, it doesn't prove anything. It doesn't prove anything. I mean, you have to have something like hard evidence. I mean, Epstein, whoever he was, had connections, was able to meet everyone. So he seemed to like love having his photograph taken with everybody. So just because someone has a photograph or something with Epstein doesn't mean they're one of the perverts or freaks he was. Has Boris sold the NHS? Nah. NHS will never be sold in England because the EU wanted to. That's the irony of Brexit. If the Remainers had got their way and the UK was entrenched within the EU deeper, they would have lost the NHS under the EU deregulations. Toronto, Canada. What does the Empress card mean? the maternal mother, the the mother is the Empress card in terms of everything a mother represents, and that includes the strictness, the conservative, the protective nature, but also the disciplining and the not just the nurturing on every level, not just the nurturing of love and care and compassion, but the nurturing of the moral character of the ethical character of a person. O'Neill, yeah, they were the O'Neills were one of the famous families of Ireland. Susquehanna Mysteries. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I saw that, the whole thing about the York, Pennsylvania. That band live are from York, Pennsylvania. And you know what else from York, Pennsylvania? The Peppermint Patty. That chocolate thing with minty thing. Very nice. Atlanta, Georgia. I love Atlanta, Sweden. Yay. Alberta, the friendless city. I've never been to there. Ballyhaunis, only up the road. Huh? Only up the road in Ballyhaunis. Pretty close by. Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah, it'd be a very nice city. Very hot. The weather down's too hot though. That's the problem. I'm going to try and go to this to the end. I'm sorry if I missed out loads of your questions. We can get them another time, but I want this to go up on by itself rather than me, my finger constantly there. It's really flying in now. The 3:33. We're getting no. Thomas Paine states a Freemasonry descended on Druidism. Yeah, he did absolutely. His book on Freemasonry is fascinating. Very interesting man, Thomas Paine. Newcastle upon Tyne. Fucking champion, man. Joseph P. Farrell. Yeah, he was kind of like one of the early conspiracy guys, isn't he? Hail Votan. Hail. Not many thumbs up on this live stream. Yeah, I guess it's a complete failure and no one likes me. We've been on an hour now. I'll go for another half an hour. I'm on a 3-day ban because of my Hitler photo. Yeah, anything like that. I got a ban on Facebook for putting up a picture of a Hindu swastika. What do you think of Turlan O'Callaghan? The Blind Harper, beautiful music. I mean, he was the master of Irish Baroque classical music, and from Ruski, I think, in County Roscommon, and kind of an interesting pagany kind of area as well. Was famous for it's like hot baths. Yeah, Turlan O'Callaghan's music is absolutely beautiful. The Blind Harper. Sounds interesting. Something you talked about here. Yeah, that Joseph P. Farley, isn't it? I think he's done Nazi occult things, hasn't he? Again, I don't. I'm an achiever. Yes, I am. I'm an achiever. I'm gonna have a cheese and ham sandwich. I'm an achiever. Hindu swastikas all getting. Yeah, people. Yeah, I got banned for posting a thing, a picture of it. Was a picture of Kali, or I think, or something. It was a picture of a Hindu god or something, and I put it had a swastika on it, and I got banned for it. A Hindu swastika. So that's how stupid those idiots are. Check out the Newgrange painting. Thank you. Abduction album. I don't know what band that is. Have you seen the film about the ritual about walkers? Yeah, I saw that film. It could have been. It's a good film actually, but it could have been amazing. I wanted to like the film The Ritual more than I did. Yes, it's good, but it was like it could have been like The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing. It could have been incredible, and I loved the subtext of the story about being about guilt and abandoning a friend. I love that. That element was very powerful in it. It was a shadow craft kind of story, but I think some of the acting could have been better. I don't know if the casting was particularly effective. The Ritual is one of those films that you watch them and you say that could have been one of their best films ever made, but it doesn't happen. Yeah, it's definitely worth watching, but it was something that you wished it was better. You wished it was better. In Halber, I think that said. Rory Gallagher. Yeah, all Rory Gallagher's playing was remarkable, especially when you watch the videos. The way he, instead of using a whammy bar, tremolo bar to do vibrato like a lot of guitarists do, he used his finger to push upwards. Same with Gary Moore. Very, very amazing guitar player. And a great singing voice too. He was good looking as well. He had the whole package, but he rejected it all because he was true to his craft. He was true to his craft. Yeah, Little Richard. I did a video about that yesterday. What's your take on marriage? It's not for everyone. It's I think people go into marriage without looking at the legal aspects of it, and I think that's something. That's why they want people married because they get. That's why they force them into it because they're owned more by the system. Marriage was basically developed not to, sanctify a love between two people, but to have them deeper entrenched into the system and the legal system. But yeah, it's great. I mean, if it works out for some people, it's fantastic, and if it doesn't, it's a life lesson. But people should wait. And is there a bardic tradition in Ireland still alive? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Is the bardic? I'm just trying to think. I guess things like Father Ted, that sitcom would have been like the end of that. Like would have been a kind of an aspect of the bardic tradition. That would have been because it used satire and comedy, because that's what they'd use to bring down the Catholic Church. Sunny Bournemouth in England. Yeah, it's nice down there. It's the Florida of England, where all the retirees go. My voice is very powerful, is it? I don't know, just a regular voice. Thank you. Anyway, I don't feel it. Have you been to York before? York, yeah, I've been to York a few times. Do you have an online shop? Amazon's fleeces. No, you can use. If you go to my website mossuponstone.com, there's links there to get me the best deal. And if the best, if it's a book that's sold mainstream, the best place to get it is the Book Depository. That gives you the best cut. Even though it's owned by Amazon, it still gives the writers a better cut. Even though it's pennies, really. You don't make money at being a writer. No one ever does. Not good money. You'll never get rich. Unless you're like J.K. Rowling or something like that, or Stephen King. And you ever notice that they're never happy, those people? They're always about fighting the establishment. And yet they are the establishment because they got they're ultimately held up. Aaron O'Hanlon does voiceovers for children's show Puffin Rock. Well, he wasn't that good of a comedian, to be honest with you. The only thing he hit well was Father Ted, nothing else. He wasn't particularly talented or anything. Ayrshire, west coast of Scotland. What do you do about exorcisms? Oh, well, I have very mixed feelings about exorcism. I often think that when a Catholic Church does the exorcism and they cast the demon out, they take the demon. They're using the child or the person that's possessed as a portal or a conduit to move them from the demon world into this world. And when they do an exorcism, where does the demon go? They cast it out where? Into this reality. Paisley. Yeah, I have loads of friends in Paisley in Scotland. Stephen King shot John Lennon. He does look a bit like him, alright. Funny. The Isle of Crete. I've been to Nice and the Isle of Crete, where I drank champagne on a rock. Zoom like Harlow in Monte Carlo, and give 'em what I've got. I've been raped by kings and did 1,000 things that a woman ain't supposed to do. Yes, I've been to paradise, but I've never been to Meath. Comments are very interesting in terms of archetypes and within and without. Yeah, remember the video I did earlier on chaos magic and using memes to fight, well not fight, but to change agency. We should be doing that too on the internet. One thing I forgot to mention about that is, and I just fucking forgot it. I was about to say it. Is fuck! I lost my train of thought then. But let me see if I go back to that comment if I can remember me what I was going to say. Bosnia, yeah. Oh yeah. How you know your memes and your meme chaos magic is working is the quantifier of chaos magic and meme magic is synchronicities. So for instance, if you post a meme on social media and it might have an obscure reference to something, and then immediately afterwards you walk down the street and you see it, or it comes up on your news feed even though you didn't do a word or anything, or it shows up on the TV or on the radio. That meme and its power and its magical charge is quantified in its terms of its effectiveness by the synchronicities. So synchronicities are the quantifier of chaos magic. When you get synchronicities that point back to your working, you know that the magic is working. It's really Doncaster, South Yorkshire. I've just changed trains there. I've never been into the town itself. So do exorcisms work in the name of Jesus? Well, that's an interesting thing as well. That there's a whole school of, I'm not saying I believe it or it's true, but it could be. There's a whole school of thought that the reason why demons run when they hear the name Jesus is because Jesus is a demon, and how you control a demon, a lesser demon, is by invoking a stronger, more powerful demon. And so there's a whole theory of that. Yeah, Jesus is a fiction. But in other ways, like Cthulhu, who's become real by the amount of energy poured into him, or into that archetype. Yeah, kind of like a tulpa. I agree with that. Nemesis, that your name? Yeah, good name. I'm not talking about Bill Gates. He's a piece of shit, and I don't like him. I don't like those aristocratic nerds, and I don't want. That's another thing. Got to stop validating this Bill Gates by obsessing over him. Got to stop this by constantly validating Bill Gates by obsessing over him, because all they're doing is feeding his charge. The best thing is to ignore him. Just say he's just a crazy megalomaniac nerd who didn't get laid in school, and you ignore him. Because when you attack him, you feed into him. I miss the overaction films of the 80s and 70s, yeah, and the 90s, me too. I used to love the old kung fu movies that were made, that were ridiculous. I used to go to cinemas on. Can you sing the full verse? I don't know the full verse of an achiever. I used to go to see kung fu movies on 42nd Street in New York and watch all the fellas go crazy in the film. On the hour when the film had the stupid, crazy action. I'm a achiever. That's what I am. I'm an achiever. A movie watching man. I'm an achiever. I really have to do it. Blake Seven Serverland. Oh yeah, fantastic. I was watching this at Blake Seven last night. Really, what do I think of Prince Harry? Who's Prince Harry now? He's one of the, I don't know. I'm an achiever. Making the video, I'm an achiever. Somebody's going to get the achiever thing and stitch them all together from these videos and sample them and make a proper song. 120 BPM. Oh yeah, Columbo, the old TV show, Henry Fogg. He used chaos magic all the time to catch the criminals. And that when he finished at the end, then he goes, "Yeah, no, yeah." So great acting. So there's just one thing, Mr. Goldberg, that I don't quite understand. Genius. Yeah, Columbo was a fantastic TV show. Fantastic. For something to exist, something has to be imagined and magic. Yeah, that's true. Go to watch The Color Out of Space there. I really like The Color Out of Space. Now, some people I know, Lovecraft fans, didn't like it, but I really like it. Yeah, Peter Fox, huge, yeah, brilliant. The Columbo was fantastic, fantastic TV show. And I don't like detective shows and don't watch them, but that one was different. He definitely used a kind of a chaos magic to catch his criminals. It's one thing I don't understand. Mrs. Columbo. I love the way he used Mrs. Columbo, like Arthur Daly, her indoors and Minder. And they creates the archetype of the woman who's actually more powerful and is great than this brilliant detective. And you know, Mrs. Columbo, just absolutely genius, absolute genius. Okay, we've got 121, another 10 minutes, another 9 minutes. Nick Cage is hilarious. Yeah, and he was a Virgo like myself. Speakeasy culture in New York. I'm sure speakeasies like Shebeens here in Ireland are flying, and but you're not hearing much about it. I'm sure like the speakeasy thing is flying, and the Shebeen thing here is flying, and they just call them private house parties now, but that's what they are really. But you see, I have mixed feelings about this. If you need to go to pubs and bars to the point where you have to go to a speakeasy or a Shebeen, then there's something not right with you. You have to learn how to be good inside yourself and comfortable inside yourself. There's no difference between needing to go to a speakeasy and needing to go to a mall. Have you noticed how much the normies don't complain about going to malls? I know that I'm shopping at home, but I just find it interesting how they don't, even the football, they don't seem to miss it as much as they did. I met Peter Falk in New York City at Central Park, my first celebrity sighting, and he was wearing a trench coat, and it's grey. Brilliant. Did you used to, oh God, Dave Allen was a huge influence on me as a little kid, growing up and watching those talks on the BBC with his one fin. You know what, he wasn't a comedian, Dave Allen, he was a philosopher, magician. That Dave Allen show on the BBC, we still watch them, they're fantastic. He was one of the first people that needed to get banned off the BBC because he did the Pope doing a striptease. Moonstruck was a good film. I like that film a lot. Yeah, Dave Allen, genius. George Carlin, another genius. Yeah, not with alcohol though. The poetry, yeah, when the old days in pubs actually meant something, rather than a big football screen in the corner of the room. Everyone staring at it, drinking pint beer delivery system. Yeah, Dave Allen was a genius. You could never have someone like him on TV today. They just don't. They just the people who run TV. It's different. I mean, I was reading about. I saw a documentary about The Prisoner TV show, and Patrick McGowan went to a man Salzburg who was running ITC, and he says, "I have an idea for a show." And he pitched, and the guy said, "And what's it about?" And he goes, "It's about a guy who's kind of like trapped on an island, and he's got a secret." And he said he didn't really tell him anything other than the basic premise. And your man Harry Salzburg from ITC wrote Patrick McGowan the check for the TV show right there and then. And we don't have people in TV. The rise and fall of Reginald Perrin, Columbo, all the shows that they had years ago, you would never, Dick Cavett, Dave Allen, you would never get those things on TV anymore because people have been dumbed down so much, particularly from the 90s on, with like shows like Friends. You know, like they were all about dumbing people down. That's what that was all about. And Friends is no jokes in it. It's completely unfunny. It's canned laughter with like glib statements. That's all that is. Rising Damp is the best sitcom ever. I have the box set. Rising Damp is a masterpiece of a sitcom. Bill Hicks, yeah, I wouldn't be as mad for him as other people, but I think Bill Hicks is, yeah, he was good, but I think he's kind of overrated as well. In terms of his legend, though, he was good. Yeah, Fred Divna, could you imagine that? A guy who'd have a few pints and then crawl up a chimney stack 300 feet in the air and start knocking it down with a hammer. I mean, could you imagine even pitching that show today to the public, let alone forget, there's always that thing in that scene in The Simpsons where they show like some a TV executives, and they says we have to come up with a new idea for a TV show, and then all they do is pull out miniature televisions and look what's on the other channel so they can copy it. There's no original thinking allowed, and that's what TV is like. You look at things like Big Bang Theory, and all those shows, they're copies of Friends. They're the kind of like the sons and daughters of Friends. They're not funny. They've no jokes in them. They just have throwaway glib lines with canned laughter put on top of them. And it's not, a dry sense of humor or anything. It's not funny. Some others do have them. Well, that was all action comedy. He did all his own stunts and that. And we don't have action comedy anymore. Like Bottoms was like that as well. Life of Brian, yeah, I like all the Monty Python stuff. It's all good. Trailer Park Boys, I've seen one or two of them. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not amazing, but it's not bad. The Canadian humor, it's different. I think that's why there's so many successful comedians, actors, comic actors that come out of Canada. It's because they. My wife Lisa knows your voice. Oh, that Sheridan guy's funny. Alexi Sale, remember? Yeah, the problem with him, Alexi Sale, was he was too. His father was a famous communist. I mean, and even as a kid, he went to the Soviet Union to be like a youth communist. It was like really weird. But Alexei Sayle, yeah, genius. But again, he was one of the first people to come out and start attacking uh, Tony Blair directly, and he even called him a borderline psychopath on the BBC. And so I respect him for that. Any current Irish bands you like? My friend's band, Vera Violent, but I don't. There's loads of good bands playing all around here, but they don't get anywhere. I go to see whenever I go to pubs and clubs, and I see great bands all the time in Ireland, as good as any there ever has been. But we've no music business anymore, so there's nothing to support them and keep them going. There's nothing to get them out there. And yeah, there's loads of good Irish bands, but unfortunately, we live in an awful time for bands. Any particular metal bands you like? Yeah, well, I like all the classics, Priest, anything with Ronnie James Dio. I like all the new wave British metal stuff, Angel Witch, all that stuff, Venom. Favorite rubber band. Oh, Wheaterson's Pet. Sid the Sexist, yeah, fantastic. Fantastic. Don't like the Beatles. I mean, I'm not rubbish or anything. I never really got into the Beatles ever. If you think of 60s bands, even, then, I mean, the Hollies are incredible. The Hollies are a much better band, in my opinion, than the. In other words, they're probably even more successful than the Beatles in terms of hit singles. But I like the Hollies much better than the Beatles. I like the Who much better than the Beatles. I like the Small Faces much better than the Beatles. Now the Beatles did have their moments, and they did some good stuff. But I don't really like the Beatles, to be honest with you. I always thought they were very, very overrated. Very overrated. That doesn't mean they're rubbish. They're just overrated. So listen, that's it. Thank you for the last 90 minutes. It's been great fun, but I'm hungry now and I want to get my lunch, or late lunch, by the way. And you look after yourselves now, okay? And don't let either the system or the COVID-19 thing or anything like that get you down. Get, Brandon and Providence, cool. Don't let anything get you down, and enjoy your lives, and feck 'em if they can't take a joke. And if you do anything in your life that's worked out for you and has gone well, you know what to do. I'm an achiever! That's what I am. I'll see you next week. That's the plan. I'm an achiever!